Hi everyone, welcome back to the Quilting Bee YouTube channel. This is Everyone Can Quilt, including me. If you like what you see, please hit the like button and subscribe, and if you hit the little bell down there, it will give you a notification every time we post a new video. So today we are going to work on quilted tote based on a jelly roll. I've actually taken a pattern. I watched a YouTube video from the Missouri Quilt Company. The pattern was not free, so I have about 20 pages of my notes that I'm going to be going through, but I thought I would go ahead and walk through this project with you and we can do it together, so stay tuned. The first step in our bag, and this is a picture of the one that they made, you need a jelly roll. If you don't have a jelly roll and you want to cut your strips yourself, you can. I went the easy way, and I had grabbed this one actually about a month or two ago. My favorite color is green, so I knew after watching this video if I was going to make a tote, I want to go green. So you need 12 jelly roll strips, and you're just going to quickly lay them out, determine what you want your pattern to be, and sew those together. So we are going to just sew these together, starting at the top. I'm going to take a quick picture just so I don't forget what I want my order to be in case my cats get into the strips, because they've been known to do that. And we will get sewing, so I'll take you over to the machine in just a minute. One thing I do want to note for the beginning quilters, if you notice, this jelly roll was pinked, so most of the time I feel like they come pinked. And by pinked I mean that they've got this edge. So these are 2.5 inch jelly roll strips. So if you were to line them up, if you were to measure, you would see that if you went from the outside point to outside point, you're actually a little bit over 2.5 inches. So you're actually measuring where to put your seam from this inside point, okay? So you want to make sure you set your seam allowance according to that inside. And if you just took a ruler, to flip mine upside down to get it to work right, if you took a ruler and measured it yourself, you would see that you come right to that 2.5 inch line with the indented portion of that point. So just want to be careful of that. And with this bag, you've got a lot of forgiveness. You don't have to worry too much about that. You just want your panels to be the same size. So we're just going to whip that together. I actually realized I need to switch my foot. I still have my quilting foot on from doing the girls' blankets, and I want to use just my regular presser foot. I do like to still clip these. They're awfully long. It just helps me keep everything aligned. So you do whatever you are comfortable with, whatever you think you need to do, you do you. So give me just a minute to change this foot out and we will get sewing. Okay, that chore is done. So now we are ready to start sewing these jelly roll strips together. So again, I've sort of clipped mine because I know how I am, and I'm going to be using the inner point of the pink edge as to where I'm going to mark my seam. Everything I've read has said inside edge, point. Sometimes those points can get frayed. Whatever you choose to use, just be consistent. Okay, 2 down. 10 more to go. We'll be back. So I have sewn all my panels together. If you can see how big. So you can see, because we're going to do this vertically, this is going to be a sizable tote. That's a really big tote. I wanted to be able to have enough flexibility to have the blankets and the pillows in there. And if I want to throw in a bottle of water or a snack or something, I didn't want to have to worry about shifting everything. Certainly, if you look at this and it's too wide, just knock out a few panels. I considered doing that and I thought, well, go big or go home. So that's what I did. So our next step is to press it. You want to definitely make sure you want to iron your seams down from your tops. If you recall from me, this is my top piece. So I'm going to head over to my iron right now and iron this, and I'll see you back here for the next step. We are going to be quilting it next. So this is a very fast-paced project. We're going to quilt the body of the bag next, and then really you're just adding a couple pockets, a couple handles, and it's good to go in the lining. Okay, so our next step after we have sewn our panels together and pressed the seams down is to quilt it real quick on batting. We're not going to put anything on the underside, so you're making 2/3 of your quilt sandwich, and you want to cut your batting just a little bit bigger than the bag size itself, because you don't need a lot of excess. Truly, it's just to give it a little bit of give while you're quilting it. It's not for anything outside of that purpose. So I found some batting it's really thin. I'm not sure what the loft is. I'm actually doubling it up because I want my bag to be a nice, thick, structured bag. And the heavier the batting, the better the structure your bag is going to have in the end. So I'm gonna trim this up and then we will cut over to starting the quilting. We're gonna do something really easy. I'm just gonna use my foot, my walking foot, as my line, I guess. And I'm just gonna quilt across. So we will get to that next after we cut our batting. Things can shift. So I took a picture. I did pin the topper to the batting in a few places just so I don't have astronomical shifting. So feel free to do the same. You know, you do you. We want this to turn out nice the first time. So no harm, no foul. So I'm going to start this. They do in the video, they want you to back stitch just like wherever you can. So hopefully you can see, I'm using my foot right here as my guide. So I'm just going to put this side, the right side of my foot, at every seam and just quilt straight lines down, keeping it really simple, snipping at the end, coming back to the top. So sometimes my foot will cooperate with back stitching, sometimes it won't. I'm also going to put this to just, it's at 2.5 now. I'm going to do 3 and see how this goes. It's really bulky and fuzzy, and I'm also in the middle of making dinner, so you know, we'll see. We'll see how this turns out. I got a little lumberjaw there. Don't worry about it. No one can see. No one's going to be looking that closely at the bag. So if you get a little whoops wavy, it's okay. We're not ripping out stitches. Do a snip. Back to the top. There's a lot of batting. You're going to want to be careful. So again, you can see my first line right there. So when I line up my foot for the next row, I'm just putting the right side of my foot then on that row I just stitched. Gonna remember to do my back stitch this time. Okay, and we're just gonna keep doing that all the way down, so I will see you at the end. Okay, so I have quilted across the whole thing. Now, if you were to watch the video from Missouri Quilt Company, I think she eyeballed 1/4 of an inch, but she always stresses the lines don't have to be perfect. So you can see if we zoom in a little bit, you know, they're not completely straight, they're not completely even, but again, I love using the gray because it just sort of buries itself, especially in these colors with all the glittery silver. You can't tell. And as you assemble the bag, there's gonna be so much going on. There's gonna be a big pocket on either side. No one's gonna know. So don't sweat whether or not your lines are straight. Just get that quilted. So now we're going to trim it up and trim up all that extra batting. Depending on how much you have, I've got a ton of batting. I always keep my scraps. You're gonna use that batting in the straps that we're gonna make in the next step. So let's go ahead and get this trimmed up. So, you know, nothing special about this trimming. We just want to get everything trimmed up and looking nice and neat. She does stress to trim your long sides first before you do your short ends. I am taking off a little bit of the fabric on the side. I'm not going to be too concerned. This is going to be such a big bag. I'm not worried about losing a little bit on either end because again, that's going to be sewn together and I'm not sweating the small stuff on this. I'm just excited that I don't have to do binding because I think binding might be my arch nemesis. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I'm not a fan. I'm getting better at it, but man, it is a trier of my patience. That is for certain. Just getting this lined up, take it all the way out to the edge. That piece, again, save everything you can, especially in the handles. You can use multiple pieces of batting. No one's going to know because again, it's all going to get quilted. What we did with all the quilting we did here, it's just anchoring all that batting. So, you know, we can piece it together as needed. And there you have your nice trimmed bag. And now we're going to use this. We're just going to fold it in half. And this is how we're going to measure for our lining and pockets. Next step.